Hi guys, this is Lloyd from Bizzfo, and what we're going to do today is we're just going to have a look at our summary management report. We have made some changes to it, but I will take you through that. Our summarized management report is quite a key report. It shows you a lot of information, and I want to focus on the right hand side, which is your actual movement, and I'll do some examples. So I'm going to show you what the inventory is like. We'll do some sales, just a quick manufacturing, and then we'll talk about the actual closing stock and so forth. The big change on this screen is this used to be based on the shift that you're doing, but we've moved away from that now. We're just using the specific days, so you'll see movement summaries and whole days. In other words, if we look at today's date, or I can look at the last few days, and it'll give me a summary, and a good measurement would be this calculation, but again I'll focus on this one shortly. These columns are all excluding that, and these ones are, well, the bottom ones are including, and these ones should be including and excluding as it's marked. We'll talk about the GP as well. I can maybe just cover that. We have a theoretical GP, and I'll show you that. That would be the actual GP that's set up on your product, and you'll notice at the bottom there's an actual GP as well, and it varies quite a bit. Now this GP, as with the testing I've done, is based on what is the actual movement. There's quite a big adjustment of stock, so when I created my system I added it in, which means that it actually inflated the net value, which means that the system is now reflecting it as a GP. Maybe if we look at some other dates I tested with, the 10th, you can see it's much closer to what we expect, but again there was inflation of the stock, and you'll see I did the manufacturing as well, so we'll just quickly touch on that. So that's just some background. So what we're aiming for is to see that this summarized management report is telling us a story. One, we're looking to see what these GPs are like. Two, we want to see what these movements are. And then we want to confirm that our stock movement is actually correct. Note, this one is the actual opening stock. And this is opening stock, and this is then calculated in actual. So let me show you how I started and do the testing. First off, what I did is I went and looked at my database, and I created some simple items. Burger, as you might know, it's marked in yellow, so I've double clicked it and there's a recipe. So I'm taking off a bun, patty and cheese, and this is my cost. The other items marked in orange, they are typically my bill of material items, so they don't have a retail price, but definitely a cost. Looking at the bottom, just select all so we can see this is the actual stock value that we have. And if I click on this button, I can see this is the actual stock value as well. Now on the right hand side, it seems like these values are repeating, but it is repeating, but you'll note the timestamps. So we're quite trigger happy with, there's a lot happening in the system, so we snapshot this value quite often to make sure it's accurate. Accurate in the sense of our closing and actual values. So this is quite key to look at this, and let's have a look. Let's sell an item or two, and then let's have a look what's happening in our summarized management report. So first thing I'm going to do, and I'm going to jump around, I'm just going to be quick, I'll stay on this screen. So let's go and sell a burger. So I'm just going to do the burger. Now this is a recipe, and let's have a look what the summarized management report is telling us. So I'm clicking on refresh. I actually just want to see today. Now you'll notice this is the opening one, and again it reflects the same as this one, and we've got a cost of sale, and the cost of sale is the same as this one. So where do I get my cost of sale from? If I go and say review stock sold, and I go for the specific day, you'll notice there is a cost of sale sitting there, and this is the actual burger that's at 27 bucks. Now looking at the rest, it's fairly standard. So we've got an opening stock value minus this will give us a closing stock, which is the same as the actual stock. I'm just going to click on this button as a shortcut, so you'll see it is then reflecting our closing stock value. So I'm going to show you a scenario where the closing stock is not matching the actual, but we'll get to that shortly. Let's have a look at manufacturing quickly. So I'm going to go to inventory, manufacturing, start a new one. Now I've set up a formula. Again, a bun, a patty, and cheese. I've just selected the quantities I'm going to do. One bun, one patty, a slice of cheese, and then I'm going to produce them. The product I'm going to produce, I've just created a separate one just to keep track. So this is a homemade burger, and I want to produce 3 of them. This one. So once I change this, the actual cost goes up, and that's basically just the 27 times the 3. And I'm going to manufacture this one. It's putting it into stock. Alright, good. And again, let's have a look at what our summarized management report is telling us. So let's see, this is what we're expecting. So note on this for the guys testing, we used to have the stock movement as part of the screen, the stock tag. There was this manufacturing screen here as well. But it was a one-way manufacturing, which resulted in almost like an adjustment on your stock, and it created some confusion as to how it should be used. So we've just removed it. So please, if you're doing any manufacturing, do it through this screen and to ensure the calculations are correct. Good. Next thing I want to do is I want to capture, let's have a look. I want to capture some stock items. Now here's a good example of the patty. So my burger and my homemade burger has got patties. The homemade burger was actually when I manufactured it, I put a patty in there and it's running into negative now. So looking at our stock at the bottom, 1126. So let's just have a look what happened to our manufacturing report. Refresh. Good. Now this is where it doesn't become tricky, but just keep in mind. So look at what happened. So this is still our opening stock. We can confirm this. At this point it was opening, and then the stock was adjusted with the actual cost of the burger. So you can confirm that calculation. So the actual stock is sitting over there. But now you would ask, but why is there a difference? I mean, surely this should be the same. In theory, yes, they should be, but what we do in our system is we avoid counting any negative values in the actual stock holding. Thus, what this report is now telling us is there is a difference with regards to what we actually have in stock and what we are actually selling, which should kind of trigger alarm bells because the system is not maintained correctly. 114 minus 1126. I just want to show you. So that is the actual 12 bucks, and this is the patty that we are missing. So yes, it should be this value based on only positive values being counted. I'll show you that. But in this case, it's calculating and it's showing we are running into a bit of a negative. So let's just quickly jump over to that one. Inventory, and there we go. So this is the 12 bucks we're missing. When we do our supplier invoice, let's go supplier invoice. Let's do this one. And let's get some patties. We put some patties back into the system. Take 4, add them. And that should be fine. I'm just going to complete that invoice. So 55.20. So again, looking at our stock holding is now adjusted. And we can see we got 3 because we had minus 1. And going back to a summarized management report. Let's see what this looks like now. Alright, so now it's corrected itself. due to the fact that we've added a supplier invoice onto it. You'll notice as well the 6347, this is your actual GPs. That is correct, because from a calculation point of view, your manufacturing is basically cancelling each other out. We've received an supplier invoice, which means we have sufficient stock, and these calculations now balance, so it just shows that it's actually working. So let's have a look. If I do adjustment as the last one, let's go to menu, inventory, and let's say we are going to adjust this one, so I'm pressing enter. This would be the same as a stock tag, it's just a different way to do it, and I'm adjusting this one down to 0. Let's have a look. So cash up, summarized management report, and now we can see there's our adjustment. So from a stock movement report for today, it is actually impacting our percentage profit, because remember, this is what we expected in an ideal world, but this is actually what we've lost, and this calculation actually takes this out of our profit margin and then gives us operating GP. So in summary, this is quite an important one to monitor, and just by looking at this, you can see if the guys are actually capturing your supply invoices, what is the adjustments they are doing on your system, confirm your manufacturing is actually running as it should. If these totals are different, there is something wrong with the manufacturing process, and if these two are balancing, it just means that you've got sufficient stock levels versus what you're selling and what the system is actually calculating. Then lastly, you can print this. Just note that the calculated value is shown and the actual value is also shown in the stock, and this report gets mailed to you as well. So just to show you, recap where to switch that on. If you go to your program settings, in other, I've got quite a few of these reports on, but the email summary report is on. So once I do my cash up, this report will be mailed to me. So guys, yeah, I hope this gives a bit of clarity on the summarized management report. If there's still any questions on that or any suggestions, please feel free to pop us a mail at info@bizzfo.co.za, and we'll attend to that.